Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. I am happy to be here with you early today. I'm sorry for the short notice on it. Hey, Kat. Hi, Michelle. Kat made it early. Yay. Before things go crazy, I do want to tell you that I am expecting an important phone call, so I may have to mute myself at some point and let you guys talk amongst yourself. It should be a real short one. But of course, I figure they're probably going to call right in the middle of the live stream. Hey, Wendy, how are you doing? And I probably missed tagging some people in the group, but my brain just kind of went, ah. Hey, Tanya, I don't know if you heard, I was just saying, if I get a phone call, I will have to mute and you guys will have to talk amongst yourselves. All right, let me switch my cameras around. I'm totally discombobulated being here at a different time of day, but that's okay. I need something easy today. So, when I need easy, it's back to French knots. And I have these two beautiful yarns that are just waiting to be stitched down. I've been, hey, Patricia. Yeah. And I tried to tag everybody I could remember in the group and I didn't. So glad you were able to make it. I have been totally, hey, Sue, reorganizing the studio. And it's coming together really nicely, but it's taking longer. And then, of course, you know what it's like when you touch materials that you haven't played with in a while? It's like, ooh, I want to play with this. Ooh, I want to play with this. Ooh, I want to play with this. So it's good for getting the brain like moving again. And this is a piece of drop cloth that was left over from the huge project. And I tell you what, if you ever need some cheap fabric to stitch on, this is great. And it takes colors great if you want to dye it. It's just got a nice feel to it. And I used it to stitch a lot of the big pieces together on my giant wildscape before I stitched it to the backing. And then I stitched it to the canvas. So yeah, I've been doing a lot of figuring things out. Yes, that's right, Tanya. Discombobulated is a feminine version of discombobulated. Yes. And sometimes I'm both. Sometimes I'm both. There are days like that. Wendy said, lovely colors. Well, you know me and my greens, right? Although I was watching the trailer as the music was playing, and I was looking at the different colors that were on there, and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember working with that. Oh, I remember. So one of the pieces that I am thinking, collections I'm thinking about starting will get me back to working with a bunch of different colors, which should be fun. Sue said, now that Joann's is gone, I guess we'll be going to the hardware stores for our cloth. I got this on Amazon. I mean, it was like, it was huge. It was like, I think it was 5 by 5 feet for like $8. And, for what I'm needing it for, this is just perfect. So yeah, drop cloth. Did I say something weird? I probably did say something weird. Or you mean Sue, did she mean drop cloths? This is it's such a nice weight. And, it's not linen, but in a lot of ways it acts like linen. Hey, Andrea, she says, just squirreling, have to work, but do not want to miss the live. I know you are like jamming, trying to get so much done. And I realized I used up, okay, if you can believe this, I used up all my French knot bits and pieces on the big wildscape. But that's okay, because as I'm moving through my materials and seeing things and kind of thinking about leveling up, which is, that's how we grow. Thinking about what other things I might be able to do with my materials that aren't the norm. There's a gal I follow on Instagram whose name I cannot remember at the moment, but she makes the most beautiful pebbles. They're like actual rock size, like you would see in a stream bed, out of felt, and just very lightly felted with just a few beads, not overkill like I do, where I just like more is more. And so I've just been keep going back over to her feed and looking at the stuff over and over again. And I'm starting to get some ideas for the waterscape that I want to work on. I don't know, waterscape, seascape, not quite sure what I'm going to call them. I mean, I guess they're still wildscapes because, you know, the water area is out in the wild. So the nice thing about this, of course, is I don't have to do them in any particular order. This is just the start of something. And this is a nice size. I think this is an 8-inch hoop. Oh, it's a 9-inch hoop. Wendy said, have you ever thought of using 2 different colors strands in the same needle when you stitch? You know, yes. But the thing I don't like about that, because I did think about that as I was threading this needle. I actually thought about it today. But what I don't like about it for my kind of work is I didn't want it to be so regular, because when you do that, then you end up with this regular kind of a stripe. And there's some things where that's a really nice effect, but for the wildscapes, they don't work for me. That's why I like to buy the variegated threads where I never know what color is going to turn up. But, you know, for variety, it's a really nice way to get some different colors in there. And it's funny, as I was sorting all the threads, I have so many pearl cottons. I'm actually thinking I might put some of those in a sale. But I have a lot of pearl cottons that are in variegated colors that I don't think I'm going to use. I don't know. I was building a stash of beautiful, wonderful, Wonderfill pearl cottons. And they're gorgeous and they're lovely to stitch with, but I don't like the regularity of them. They're a little too perfect because they're all coming off of the machines. Whereas the hand-dyed stuff that I get from my Etsy dyers, you know, it's just different. Even, you know, the same dye batch might turn out differently. So who's working on what lately? Tell me. I want to know. Kat says, I like to use 2 different threads when stitching sometimes. I use shades that are close to each other for easy depth. That's a good point. And you work with floss and nothing bigger than fingering yarn, right? Kat says, I don't like pearl cotton, too shiny. Yeah, that's the problem I have with most flosses as well. I don't like the shininess. However, there are some instances, okay, as you know, I'm starting to work on some pieces where I'm thinking about going underwater, and the shiny stuff is actually working for me because you picture you've got that like reflection from the water. But in the greens that you and I like, Kat, I agree. Some of the stuff is just too shiny. And I do use pearl cottons for, you know, just for string. Kat Babbitt says, I dye most of, here's my call I've been waiting for. Okay, talk amongst yourselves. I'm going to be right back. how's that? We had background music. Okay, let me go over and turn it off. Could you guys hear it, I hope? All right, let's come back over to the comments. Let me see what I got caught up on. All right, so Kat dyes most of her own threads so I can have my preferred colors. You know, I wish I had the patience. I used to like to dye fabrics and things, and I realized that I would rather do the stitching. And yeah, I just got past that. Michelle's working on little pieces. Sue is hand sewing down a binding at the moment. Kat is still stitching bark on my big moss piece. Tanya said, got my desk cleared and organized so I can work up some fresh gel prints for collage. Nice. Michelle is working on her kitchen table. Wendy said, I'm working on a stitch piece. It consists of felt circles that make a Christmas tree shape. Weirdly, they are at the stage where they all look like eyeballs. Kat said, assuming you're on hold right now, hence the music. No rush, do what you need to do. I was able to do the music right here, which I thought was kind of cool. Yes. Yeah, I turned it to music since I was doing my phone call, and I figured I could at least do that and stitch a little bit. So eventually, hopefully that won't happen. What I'm trying to do is get my Social Security benefits, and you know, it's taking a while. So it's been several months, and they said basically it's going to be another couple months. Kat said, I'd rather do the dyeing, so maybe we should collaborate. Hey, Kat, maybe we need to chat. Do you sell your dyed threads elsewhere, or are you just doing them for your own projects? Because Kat Watson and I are always looking for dyers. So you can send me a message, or if you have a shop someplace or a website, even though the link won't be hot, you can put the name of it in there and I can find it and put the link up. Oh, hey, Terry, she is there. She just finished her barn chores. Awesome. Tally is laying on the floor next to me with her paws, all four legs straight up in the air. Michelle says, Kat, I like dyeing fabric too, never done threads. I do have some threads I bought that, well, they're not threads, they're yarns that are, you know, novelty yarns that are strange things, that the colors ended up looking too much like they belonged on a baby blanket. So I'm thinking I am going to have to grab some acid dyes because they've got nylon in them, and see if I can generate some colors that might be a little bit more to my liking. Okay, so basically I knew they were going to tell me that it's going to take longer, but I kind of wanted to just, you know, tag them a little bit, because when I called a month ago, they said, oh, it takes 60 days. So then I waited 65 days, and they're like, well, we're still behind, so it's going to be another couple weeks. Oh, well. Anywho, I'm just Kat who dyes her own threads. I'm sorry, I already forgot your last name. What are you working on? Are you just dyeing, or are you dyeing for a particular project, or are you in between projects right now? I actually am thinking about fabric projects lately, piecing together some neat things. Sue said, time for a break from the binding. The music was a nice interlude. Good luck with Social Security. Thank you. Yeah, I totally forgot that they had background music here, so I thought I could do that. I could add that. It's a good thing to remember if I have to ever take like a bathroom break or something, that I can turn the music on. I know I'll get my money eventually, but it's sort of like, you know, as we're waiting for the city to approve our plans for our new roof and overhangs and all the stuff that we're trying to do, I kind of like to know that we've got that money coming in, since I'm sure that we haven't saved anywhere near enough for what the roof's going to cost us. Because, you know, once they open up that roof, they're going to find all kinds of stuff, and I'm going to have my own little nightmare before Christmas. So wait a minute, I missed something. Wendy's daughter, was she the one that put in the request for the tree and a nightmare before Christmas tree? Was that what it was? That sounds like fun. I have never felt the urge to do holiday related stuff. Wendy said, I have no idea. My daughter and her boyfriend think it's a great idea. She said I could embroider scary movie names all over. Oh, that would be fun if you don't mind embroidering letters. I have a textile artist friend. She does big quilts and art quilts, and she likes to take the Posca pins and write after she's done the textile work. Then she takes her pins and she writes all over them, whatever little sayings and stuff. Tanya said, there's such a difference in your process when you are knotting. Other stitches leave you open to contemplation and plan and wanting a plan, but knotting just flows effortlessly. It does for me. Some people do not have the same feeling about doing French knots. I just sent in the other day, I was asked to do an interview for a website, and they were asking me questions. They asked some really good questions. I can't wait to see the interview. But one of the things was about French knots, and to me, I think I don't know, maybe it harkens back to the fact that it was one of the first stitches I learned as a child, and one of the first stitches I remembered when I came back to stitch. Kat said, over dyeing is always a great way to salvage threads that aren't exactly your vibe. So far, I've only dyed for myself. I'm currently dyeing a coordinated bundle for a textured project I'm envisioning. Are you dyeing wool, Kat, or are you dyeing other threads? I've got, this is a lot of novelty yarn that I got that I thought was going to be deeper colors and turned out not to be. So I'm thinking I want to dye it some, underwater kind of colors, or I might just do it in greens because I can always use it in greens. And I love this color. It's really bright when it's stitched down, but it makes a great accent in amongst things. And it's different, from each dyer. They're all slightly different. This is very soft. I think this has some yak in it. Yeah. Oh, this must be Lavender Sheep's. Yeah, this is from Lavender Sheep. Wendy said, we don't have Thanksgiving or Halloween here. We celebrate Easter and Christmas as major holidays. For those that don't know, Wendy is in South Africa. Let's see, I just think these go just nicely next to it. Yeah, I need to remember stitching on this drop cloth fabric. This is going to be part of a larger wildscape, Michelle. I've been trying to decide couple things. One, do I want all my wildscapes to have raw edges like my giant piece? And by raw edges, I mean not pulled all tightly over a canvas. Or do I want to do some that are going to be pulled tight? Okay, this is how I fix when I made the mistake of coming back up in the same area and it's not laying perfectly. I'm just going to go right back down in the middle of it. It's just going to make a nice little, knob. There's no mistakes with French knots as far as I'm concerned. Kat said, wool, cotton, and random mixed fibers. The green yarn you're using now is so good. Yeah, this I'm sure is Lavender Sheep. And, oh, they're both Lavender Sheep. I just realized it. But this is just her regular merino wool, and this is got the yak in it. And she's one of the few people, there's only a couple that I can get that dye with yak, and it's really expensive. It's like $40 a skein, but it's just absolute bliss to stitch with. So just blending a little bit of this together. So the one thing I but I'm trying to do, and I could probably just, well, my chalk, that marker is not going to show on there. Do I have a pencil? None of my pencils are sharp. Let's see. Okay, here's one. I have a habit of taking the whole, doing the whole hoop in a circle. So really what I want to think about is I just kind of want part of it. And I can pull you back so you can see. Because what happens if I go through the whole hoop and then you start to stitch it down, you get some, it becomes too precise for me. It's not too precise for everybody. It's just too precise for me. And there are times where I want that precision. Wait a minute, I want to come over here and Get that to focus in again. And there are other times where it just doesn't work for me. Okay, focus. There we go. That's a little better. Whoops. It's only a little better. Kat says I do this too. You have to draw your little lines on. My trouble is if I don't give myself some kind of a limit, I get carried away and I just keep making knots. And I just don't need draw shapes and fill them in with French knots. Yeah. And I'm starting to do that with needle felting now so that I can get some of the effects I want that way. My embellisher is currently getting an overhaul because I broke a bunch of needles the other day, and I think I jammed something probably in a place that it shouldn't have been jammed. So I'm excited to get that back so I can play with the needle felting that way. And I found all my wool that kind of had mixed up. So I've been sorting in the studio. It's really nice. I will do a studio tour. I might turn the camera on just while I'm cleaning things up in the studio and go live maybe for a short bit, but I'll definitely do a studio tour. Forgot to pull it through all the way in one spot. Oh, well, I'm not going to worry about it. I have so much embroidery floss. When I first went back to stitching, I bought so much floss because that was, I'd never thought about stitching with yarn. And now trying to find ways to use it. It's just not my trouble with floss, besides the fact that a lot of it is shiny, is it doesn't feel as nice in my hands. Kat says, I would love to see how you work with needle felting and see how you utilize it. Yeah, I'm kind of recovering from pushing myself so hard on the big project and overcoming the disappointment of not getting into the show and all that good stuff. And now kind of transitioning, thinking where I'm going to go next, what I want to work on, how do I want to focus the rest of my year. I'm hoping I'll get into open studios, but I can't count on that. So I need to plan accordingly. And one of that things is getting back to doing more videos, just regular videos. But needle felting is a nice way just to add a little bit of something to your work. A little bit of more texture. And my trouble is that I have not yet, we're going to fix that, but I have not yet taken the time to work at getting better at some of the things that I want to get better at. And when I, realized that, it's like, okay, let's pick one area. Right now it's the studio. Tomorrow we're having the carpet cleaned. So it's like, okay, I can finish, I think, working in the studio tomorrow afternoon while they're doing that. And we'll have to stay off of it for a while. And then kind of just thinking about, okay, I laid out all those little projects, and those are all pieces that are going to go in the underwater, but I don't want to stop my wildscapes because that's sort of my signature. And I realize I need some more in the more recent styles that I'm doing. Needle felting is great to fill in any holes. So like I could, it'd be harder with this. I don't know. I haven't tried to needle felt into this because if this was wool and I had spaces in between here, I could just needle felt in there to kind of fill things in. Tanya said, do you and does anyone here enter pieces in the state fair? A friend of mine has done for many years, and I'm curious if others here do too. I have not. I might in the future. State fairs are big, crowded, people-y places, and I don't do a lot of peopling, but I might. It's hard. It's hard to decide where to put the energy. And then, do I want to make work thinking, okay, maybe I might have a solo exhibition maybe next year. I could approach some galleries. Do I want to make work with the idea that I want to enter in shows? Right now, I'm just kind of hunkering down and just trying to create a body of work that's for I don't know what, because I sent out the newsletter. I said how I was processing things, but I'm still kind of ouchy about not getting into that show. And I just put too much pressure on myself to get in there, but it still doesn't stop the fact that it's like, ow, it hurts. Anybody else do any state fairs? Sue, with all the quilting, county fairs and local quilt shows. She said, I've never entered a state fair, but I put my quilts in county fairs and local quilt shows. Our state fair is like 4 hours away, so I might do the county one someday, but I don't know that I would do the state one. But you never know. Oh, Tanya said, just to say she enters pieces but never has to go there. I don't think she'd manage that as it's so peoply. No, you got to get your work there. So yeah, I guess you could maybe ship it. I don't know. I'll have to check into what goes on with our state and county fairs, because I know, to me right now, the next few years is about building a body of work and getting exposure. So that's why I'm hoping I make it into open studios, because that would be good exposure. And I'm going to be very picky. There are a few fiber art shows coming up that I will enter, but I'm going to be very picky about which ones I do going forward. And besides, my big piece right now is the one that I think is the most worthy of entering. And I'm sure it would cost a couple $100 to ship. Terry said, I once entered a flower arrangement in a local fair. Sue said, I don't take rejection well either. As soon as I realized that, I quit trying for juried shows. Call me a coward, but I do it to protect my mental health. That's important, though. I mean, I used to get rejected all the time when I was writing, and some of them just bounced right off my back, and others were really painful, especially when it was a publishing house that I felt like I had a good relationship with, and an editor that I knew, and I thought that for sure my book was getting in. Tanya said, sorry to hear of the disappointment, Susan. They clearly don't know what they missed. That piece is amazing. Thank you. But you never know what a juror is looking for. Terry said it was a very simple rubrum. I hope I said that right. Lily arrangement. Sounds purty. I don't do much with flower arranging, but when we're hosting Mother's Day dinner on Sunday, so I will go out into the yard and cut some greenery and do something with it. I don't know what. Oh, you got a ribbon, she said. I was in my early 20s. I was much braver at doing that kind of stuff in my 20s, but I wasn't doing artsy things then. But I know when I was skating and doing, well, not so much with the horse shows, because I knew I wasn't really good at the horses. I just enjoyed them. But when I was skating, every competition I entered, I always had the attitude that, well, of course I'm going to, get a placement. Of course I'm going to do. I mean, I didn't very often, but I had that attitude a lot more easily when I was a kid. Sue said, that's true. One piece may not meet one juror's vision. It may be perfect for another. Exactly. But you have to be ready to take it. And so that's why I'm thinking for a little while I've got a bunch of 12 by 12 canvases. Hi, Julia. I am early today. A bunch of 12 by 12 canvases that I'm trying to decide how I might want to do them. And I'm thinking I might do them in single colorways. And then I can just go over the edges. Thank you, Terry. Julia is in Turkey, and while she can't understand me, she always participates in the conversation, which is lovely. Oh, it's been a while since I sat and did French knots and greens, and this is making me happy. This is what I wanted today. Lots of hellos to you, Julia. Wendy said, we need to remember Queen's big hit, Bohemian Rhapsody, was rejected by a guy who thought the song was too long. It went on to be one of their biggest successes. Yes. Wendy, Sue said, excellent point, Wendy. When I was doing a lot of public speaking, I had a list of famous books that had been rejected so many times. It was like Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, which was really popular, had been rejected like 127 times. Trying to remember what else was on the list. Jonathan Livingston Seagull was rejected a whole bunch, and of course that became quite famous. Can't remember. I had a nice long list of things that people would recognize. Tanya said regarding Queen and a worldwide classic that will be eternal. Yes. Love Queen. It's also really nice to be stitching on something that's very easy to stitch through compared to when I was working on the big piece. There were some sections that were so thick that every single thing I went to pull through, I had to have my little gripper. Terry said, I'm downstairs today, so I have access to interpretation. I don't know why I've got something blue coming through here, but Wendy said, I like to listen to rock music or podcasts about crime when I'm stitching. Oh, wow. I couldn't do the podcast about crime. No, thank you. Tanya said, Star Trek was rejected repeatedly until Lucille Ball took it on. Oh, interesting. I didn't know that either. I think Dr. Seuss was rejected a bunch too. But the thing is, rejection is part of life, whether it's, entering your work into a show, whether it's a job you're applying for, a relationship that you're hoping is going to go a certain direction. I mean, rejection happens. It doesn't define who you are as a person. And of course, we get so emotionally tied up in it that we forget that. And of course, when it comes to art, it's all a matter of coming back. I have a big knot there. Let's see if we can fix that up. Because I already had one thing I messed up here. Where's my knot? Oh, well, that one, the only way we're going to fix it. It's the process. And that's the thing we have to keep coming back to, is remembering that it's all about the process. I'm just going to pull good. I can pull the needle through, which means I can attack my knot. And yeah, these are my messy back sides because sometimes I don't get all the yarn through. And you know what? That's okay. Let's see. And it's been hard to even just kind of get myself geared up to think about starting anything new. And it wasn't that I didn't want to work. I mean, it's kind of why I hooped up a bunch of different projects. It's like I really want to be deep into something because that sort of helps me, just helps me settle. It soothes me. So this will be good. I can put this in front of the TV and have this filled up in another day or two. Terry says, I'm getting excited to paint again. Yay. I love this. When you put it on the hoop stand, a different angle, then you get a completely different feel for it all. I do have one more green I could bring in, and I think I might do that. This one's kind of a olivey something. This is Pearl and Clover yarn, which is another one that I really like. Sue wants to know, Terry, is painting a more seasonal activity for you? She said, I need to make lots of earrings first. Summer shows are on the way. Yeah, that's your big moneymaker for the year. I know. Sue said, I'm thinking painting on canvases rather than skates. Kat asked, do I have a hoop stand you recommend? Most I look into seem so expensive. It's not an investment I've been able to afford so far. So this one is the Nurge stand. Let's see. Well, let me take it off the thing and you'll be able to see. I think she meant seasonal, Terry. Do you do it at only certain times of the year? So, whoops, and now you can't see because of that. Nurge. I do it. Yeah, if I do it the other way, you won't be able to see it. So that's upside down, but this is a Nerge stand. And there's another one that's out there that's got an articulating arm, and I tried it and I didn't like it as much. So here's the pluses about the Nerge stand. You can use it on the table like this. You can use it as a sit stand because this part you can put underneath your thighs to hold it on your lap. The downside of it is, and it may not matter to you, okay, but these are Morgan no slip hoops, okay, and they're bigger. They're too big to put on here, but they're thicker. So if you're using a wooden embroidery hoop, you can see the difference. It fits in here, but sorry, this part where the hoop goes is not, I can't get these sturdy, which is fine because those are too big. Those hoops are too big really for me to be working on here in a live stream. And I only use this myself when I'm over here doing the lives because it's perfect for that. For me, and it was an investment, was I bought the Lowry work stand so that I can have it on the floor next to my chair. And I just ordered just last week their new they're custom making them in one where I can go really big. So the next time I do a big piece like my last one, I won't have to use a rolling stand. I can use, I could make one 10 feet across if I wanted to because it will hold it. But this fits wooden embroidery hoops great and the Nerge embroidery hoops. Tanya likes her Nerge stand. Yay. Sue says, remember to hit the like button. Terry says, I want to try some techniques or styles of other artists that I admire. Great way to stretch yourself. Painting is like a treat that I get to do when my work is done. Oh, nice. Kat said, all good. That's helpful for research when considering a purchase. You are welcome. The Nerge stand is very sturdy too. Beware of some of the knockoffs. Some of the things I've seen from people, comments have been that they splinter. And that's never fun, or get, your stuff would get caught. This part is plastic. The part that holds the hoop is plastic, and the rest of it's all, and the knobs are plastic, and the rest of it's wood. And I mean, if you can't yet afford a Lowry stand, which is the gold standard as far as I'm concerned, the Lowry stand changed my life and absolutely saves my hands. Well, as much as my hands can be saved. The hands actually aren't the problem. It's the shoulder. Always the dang shoulders with Stitch. When I went and had my doctor's visit with ortho last week, I got a cortisone shot in my shoulder. Evidently, I have pretty good bursitis and probably have had bursitis for a long time. And he's like, well, you should be working with your work up like this so your head doesn't bend down. I'm thinking, I could not work like that. I can do it a slight angle, but I really need to be having it down in front of me like this. All right, I want to add one more color. Come on, let's get to that end. I'm actually been thinking one project that I kind of want to play with, going back to stitching off the hoop. And I know that's the way I started. And with a lot of the Just Because books, they were all done off the hoop. But I would kind of like to see if there's something I can do off the hoop. I know it doesn't seem feasible to do something like that. He said like an architect's table where it's angled up. Now, the new work stands I'm going to get, they are going to let it go at some angles. So we'll see. Maybe it will turn out that these are going to be my next great thing. We'll see. But, it was like with the exchange of the dollar, I think it was like $400. And they're making them now, so they'll be here in a couple weeks. All right, let's see what this color looks like. I just think this will be the perfect blending. Hello, Big Mama Sandy Moore. How you doing? I knew when I had to change the time, it was going to be a tough one for you. Sue said, with a floor stand, maybe, but for those of us who work without a stand, keeping our heads up like that sounds ridiculous. Yeah, and if you don't have the problems I have with my back and my shoulder, it's not an issue. Let's see if I can get all three of them in because I have everything kind of zoomed in. Aren't those pretty together? You ran fast. Hey, Mama Boom Bam. You are working on a coat project with 20 other women. Most have worked without a hoop. Yeah, and a lot of it is what you've grown up with, what you've gotten used to, what you enjoy. I mean, that's what it is for me. Putting my work in a floor stand has made the work much more enjoyable for me. Or in this, just to have both hands free. But, he was telling me, to get my scapula engaged every time I was, doing something with my shoulders, because otherwise I was going to aggravate the bursitis. And since that's not possible all the time, talking with my PT person yesterday, it was like, just more breaks, take more breaks. All right, I'm going to add this kind of over here. Oh yeah, these great shades. So what kind of a coat project, Mama? Like you're all doing pieces of it? Is it patchwork? Interested to know more. Oh, this is gonna be a beautiful combo. And I only have one. I don't know if she's doing this one anymore. Sometimes, dyers will decide, nah, I don't want to do that colorway anymore. Which is why if there's a new dyer and I fall in love with something they do, I go back and I buy everything they have in that skein, which is why the studio is a disaster as I'm trying to find a room for everything. It does sound like an awesome project. Tanya says, every time I hear Lowry, I hear Martin Lawrence's voice in Bad Boys saying Mike Lowry. Sorry, that's so late a comment, but hubby came in and yapped at me while I was trying to type it. I do not know Bad Boys, so I will take your word for it, but it's funny how there's things that are triggers. Mama said, Sue, yes, but it's a challenge. All doing pieces that will be sewn together. It's an art project. What a great idea. And a coat is, coming from all the different people, a coat is just like a giant hug. I love that idea. I would stink at collaborative projects though. I struggle with deadlines when they involve other people. When it's just me, I'm okay. But if I have to involve other people, it does make it a little more difficult. Great movies, just fun, silly buddy cop flick. We got out of the habit of watching movies because they're over so quickly. We watch a lot of TV. We like a series where we can really get invested in the characters. Sue said, I like the idea of a tabard, sort of wearable art. Yes. Yeah, I can start to see it. And I'm sure we've all seen like beautiful kimonos up on the wall as art. So it'd be kind of the same sort of an idea. Oh, I really like these three colors together. What a good choice this was. All right, and the white is not showing through, which is what I was hoping would happen, so I can save, because I was going to use this to stitch on. I thought, well, but I really want to use this for some other stuff, so now I don't have to use my wool for stitching on at this stage. Whoops. Mama said these coats go into museums for display. Very beautiful. Oh, sounds great. Let us know when you get it done where it might show up so we can, if it's online, we can look for it. Terry said, I saw this beautiful red dress that was an international collaborative. Awesome. Sue said there's been more than one. Mama, we want to know more about this project. Is there something that we can go look up? That would be good to know. Well, this is going to be very cool. I like this. And this is a nice size to be able to finish, in a decent amount of time without feeling like, oh gosh, is this ever going to get done? And it's more interesting to work on with the multiple colors. Mama said, yes, many and all different themes. Is there a name of the project we can go look up, Mama? Sue wants to know, what part of the country are you in, Mama? Yeah, it'd be really lovely to go look at some of that stuff. Okay, I think I can do one more needle, and I am going to have to leave a few minutes early so that I can run and do a couple things before my meeting, but I can do one more, and you're going to keep blending. I also have, my needles are all like a giant mess. I'm going to have to take a little bit of time and sort out my needles. All right, let's add one more of this. Mama says the lady organizing has a website I have written down. Sorry, I don't have on hand. Hey, Mama, you can always, if you want to, you can message me privately and I can post it in the Facebook group, or you can bring it if you come next week. We would love to know more about it. Or if I remember, I will go do some, I can usually research that kind of thing and pull it up. So I'll try and find it. All right, let us bring some of it over here. Wendy said, sadly have to go as hubby is home from work. Thanks, Susan. Keep well, everyone. Yeah, and I'm going to go in just about 5 minutes. Tanya said, I like to use Inktense watercolors to dye my backgrounds when I don't want the white showing through. Inktense dries permanent and doesn't change the fabric, unlike acrylic, makes it thick for stitching. Yeah, Inktense is great. And I thought about that, and it was the whole, do I want to make a mess? I'm like, nope. So I figured I was going to do this. And if it showed through too much, I had some ideas, but it's not going to be an issue because I stitch so thickly. Mama is in Ontario, Canada. Oh, beautiful exhibitions happen up there. The mess factor is so real. Yeah. Yeah, but I have some beautiful, I have Inktense pencils and I have the Inktense blocks. And again, it's on the list. It's on the list of things to do some more stuff with. But right now, I mean, when I was looking, as I've been reorganizing the studio and looking at, the massive amounts of background fabrics I have, it's like, okay, it's not, do I have what I need? It's what do I want to use next? Because I have so much. Sue said, good luck with the current coat project. Tally is awesome. She's crazy. I get her under cover of darkness. She decides that I'm her snuggle bunny at night in bed. During the day, she's my husband's shadow. She's so funny. Mama said, Susan, your work is absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much. Kind words that we can give one another of support they're just like, they're gas for me. I mean, they really are. It's fuel to keep me going. It keeps me coming back to the lives. It keeps me doing things like changing the time so I can still do a live stream today and go to my other meeting, which is an art meeting. Well, I feel like this was a pretty good start for today. Now, will I do this next week? I don't know. I might pull out something else. But now I have room on my shelves in the studio where this hoop and the yarns can go in a plastic box, clear box, because I got to be able to see what's in it, and go on the shelf so that Miss Tally can't grab it. Sandy said, Susan, thank you for doing the live stream today. I always look forward to tonight, just seeing you, but seeing all that are in chat too. It's like a reunion every week. Tanya said yes, and thank you for the tagged reminder. Would have missed you otherwise. Yeah, and I wish I could have remembered all the people that the lurkers that are here. I'm sorry that if I didn't tag you in the group message, but I tried to post it a few times, and it won't be a regular thing. But I'm glad that I don't have to miss something that's important to me, and I can still give you guys something that's important to you. Well, this is important to me too. Like I said, this is fuel for me, all the energy. All right. That is a wrap. Take it off the hoop here. And so it's got a ways to go, but it's absolutely doable. And it's not something that's this huge. All right, folks, I'm going to sign off so I can go grab a bar and have something to eat before my next thing. But thank you for hanging with me today. I hope you all have a wonderfully creative week. And I should be back at my regular time next week, 12 noon Pacific time here in California. Bye-bye for now.